Hi guys, thanks for checking the video out. Steve Buzza here, and today's video is about the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and more importantly, the winner. So Bryson Dechambeau. While I was in COVID, I decided to up my intake of food. I uptook my intake of other liquids, and I put on tons of weight. But I'm not hitting it further because I think Bryson did some little bit of gym work in there as well. So don't be put down. You know, he's looking bulkier, but how fast is he looking? He broke records. So not only did he win, he broke records off of the tee yesterday. You know, or through those 4 days. So it is pretty incredible what he's doing. So today's video, I want to kind of discuss, is it incredible? Is it a one-off? Or has he actually reinvented, certainly for him, but has he come up with a completely new way to play this game? So what I wanted to do first was look at his strokes gained. So I've got them out in front of me here. Off the tee, strokes gained, he was first. You know, gaining 1.6 shots. I assume that's per round. And like I said, he broke records. You know, he hit, was it 40-something shots over 320 yards, which is kind of unheard of. Tee to green, 1.8, so fourth. Approach shot, he was actually at 51st, and he had a negative, so his approach play actually cost him shots. You know, not a lot, 0.12, but his approach play cost him shots. But remember, so strokes gained, so for people that don't understand what strokes gained is, come from work that Mark Brody did. And the whole point of strokes gained is to give each shot an individual value. So you can it doesn't matter how well you drive it or putt or approach play, you can get a number which is representative of each of those things. Because think about it, let's say I'm terrible off the tee, so I hit a tee shot out of bounds on every hole. I might have perfect iron play and I might hole every putt. I'm still going to be making bogeys and double bogeys. You see, so strokes gained, the aim of strokes gained is to give you a value for each shot. So yes, his approach play is below, but remember, he's hitting his shots far closer to the competition. So just because his approach play is not great for how far he had, the likelihood is he still had far more shots that were closer. So think about it, if I hit a 5-iron to 20 feet, or I hit a wedge to 20 feet, I'm going to have a higher approach play. I'm going to have a better strokes gain value with the 5-iron because that's a far better shot. But your score doesn't care, remember. So you still got a 20-footer. So that one is down, shows that he's got somewhere room for improvement. But, you know, like I say, it's not that he was hitting bad approaches. It's just his drives were so far down there, he has to hit it really close to get a good approach, you know, or to beat the other guys in terms of that approach. Around the greens, he was 26th, but then putting 1.9 shots around, he was gaining number one. If you can bomb it off the tee and you can be number one on putting, you're going to make some birdies and you're going to start winning golf tournaments. Remember, with the putting of the way strokes gained work, I would say putting is the most volatile of the numbers. You know, it's very common for someone that wins to have a really good putting week, because if you have a good putting week, you know that's going to obviously throw you up the leaderboard. I don't really want to get into that too much in this video. If you're interested, like and subscribe, get some comments down below. I'm happy to do another video. But he's putting great. He's bombing it off the tee. You're gonna do well if you can do that. But let's go into what he's actually doing. So if you're not aware, I did some research a couple years ago on basically this topic. You know, if you try and bomb it versus if you try and hit it straight. And what my findings found, and like whenever you do a thesis or whenever you do a research study, you don't just go in and look for your results. You have to look at previous stuff. And in golf, no one's really looked at it. So I looked at a lot of different sports, and what I found was there's not really any like good previous information that says when you try to hit it as far as you can, or you try to exert yourself maximally, that you lose accuracy. You know, that's something in golf especially, that although we kind of say it's a rule, nobody's ever really proven that rule. If we use Mark Brody's research, he looks at offline, like angle offline versus just hitting fairways. So the further you hit it, if you're 1% offline, yes, that ball's going to get further away. But it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're hitting it hard, your dispersion gets really wide. And what they tend to find in the guys that hit it the furthest tend to have a really good angle offline number. So what that means mechanically, they're actually doing better. It's just their distance is going to make them go slightly wider. But it's not true. I've got no evidence, and if you've got evidence, get some comments down below, because I haven't seen it where you go, well, actually, when someone's trying to really hit it far, it makes them hit it wide. You know, I think we had Phil Mickelson, you know, trying to hit his bombs, and we go, well, yeah, but Phil shows that he's hitting it all over the place. But remember, Phil hits it all over the place, bless him, when he tries to hit it with a 10-degree driver, a 13-degree driver, and he tries to pop it forward. He tried to use the Frankenwood. Phil hits it wide. Do you see? So we can't just use him as a one person. Just like we can't just use Bryson as one person. But what Bryson is doing, like we're trying to hit it as hard as he can, I don't see that as being a problem. You know, and if you can sequence correctly, you know, you can still be as efficient in that delivery. If you're efficient in the delivery, you're still going to hit the ball pretty straight. On a side note, it's crazy how straight he was hitting it. You know, I think that comes down to his skill level, not just the fact that he's trying to whack it. But it's pretty impressive. You know, I'm hearing things on social media about, oh, it's ruining the skill level of golf. You know, if my definition of skill, if you can do something that nobody else in the world can do, that's got to be a skill. And he's absolutely blasting it. And what I would say about Bryson, and we got to be a little careful with Bryson, because sometimes what he says isn't exactly what is happening. So yes, he is bulked up, but he works with a very world-renowned fitness coach that is based around completing full range of motion. So what I mean by that is sometimes when a guy goes into the gym and tries to put on mass, they put weight on that's too heavy, so they don't like complete the movement. You know, instead of like, to imagine a bench press, they don't bring it all the way down and all the way through. They're kind of doing this, you know, doing the short changing, as you would call it in the gym, you know. So it means you can lift more, but you tighten yourself up. If you tighten yourself up, you don't have leverage, so you're not going to hit the ball any further. Just bulking up doesn't necessarily make you more powerful. Because think about it, mass, you create that by doing slow stuff in the gym. So Bryson hasn't gone into the gym, he hasn't just gone into lockdown, or especially in the off season, and just started pounding weights. He has somebody looking over what he's doing. He's creating full range of motion. He was already training, so when you're looking at, let's say you've seen what Bryson's doing, and you're like, look, if I hit it further, you know, let's say I'm a 10 handicap. My index is 10, and my dream is always to be a single figure. If you hit it 20 yards further, I could almost guarantee your 10 will become a 9. But what Bryson has, which a lot of us doesn't, and I'm not mentioning names, but you know, unfortunately, I'm in this list at the minute, and this is like where I'm trying to put my training, is Bryson was already training, he already had mobility, he already had a good posture, you know, so he was ready to go in and do heavy lifting. If you haven't been training, don't go straight into heavy lifting. I promise you won't hit it further and you'll hurt yourself. Bryson already had a great frame. So I'm hearing a lot saying, well, what if he gets injured? I think he's done it in a very good way. He's got a very good trainer. They're looking at full range of motion. You know, you do short range of motion, you're not going to hit it further, you probably injure yourself. He works with Chris Como, who's a biomechanist. So they're looking at how he's moving. You know, he's using the gas force plates. You know, they're like based in like Kisler technology. So there's 3D plates. They're showing you exactly where and how you're putting the energy into the ground. He's then using gears. So they're seeing the whole, what's happening. So gears shows the kinematics. It shows the movement. and then the ground stuff shows the kinetics. So you can see the movement and how it's being created. If you can do that, you can then go, where am I loading, or more importantly, am I overloading my body? If you're not overloading your body, you're not going to injure yourself. And there's always an injury risk, by the way. We can reduce the risk of injury. You know, as a biomechanist, you know, I have the same qualification as Chris Como. So I know Chris is doing this. We look at performance and we look at injury risk. So you look at Bryson, you know, if he doesn't have those guys behind the scene, and he is the mad scientist, and he's just bought some gym equipment and gone in his garage, yeah, I would say, yeah, he probably would injure himself. But that's not what Bryson has done. He's surrounded himself with people that know more about it. Bryson knows if I hit it further, I'm going to play better. I had a comment on Twitter. Somebody said, well, people forget he was already third in the FedEx Cup last year, or third or fourth. You know, it's such a small difference in performance to go from fourth to number one. If you hit it 20, 30 yards further, you know, you think what he's averaging now than what he was averaging. He hit it long already, but he's hitting it longer, and that gives him the potential to do great. You know, to go from four to number one. I think that what this has done, you know, I'd imagine the guys at Augusta National are trying to put in bunkers as we speak, because, again, a course like that, he could come in and just destroy it. I think once he gets used to just being the guy that's whacking it, last week, what I was more impressed with was how good he was hitting that 3-wood. So he can then maximize his distance. He still is far down the hole as the other guys, and then when there's a hole, he can destroy with his driver. You know, that makes him dangerous in majors. But Bryson, and it's because of the stuff he says, you know, like, he was so slow, and then we didn't like him, and now we like him, and then, like, he made a comment about he doesn't like that the cameraman was on him for too long, you know. But he for me, I think he's just an introvert performer, you know, as a lot of golfers are. You know, would he work well in a team? Maybe not so much, but as a golfer, you don't have to. You know, and he is very focused, and it's his hard work that's put him here. We're talking about his, like I said, about his approaches. You know, he's not the great with his wedges, but he never has been. And I think that could have something to do with being single length. If you actually look at his data, he doesn't really get better from far out than he does close in when it comes to giving himself the birdie chances. So I think that's somewhere where he can work on, and that will be the next thing he works on. But Bryson, you know, if you can like him, hate him, not many people are in the middle, but you can be. But what you can't dispute is he's a hard worker. And I think once he gets through this phase, you know, he's not someone that, and this happens so often, you know, he's not someone that goes, you know what, I'm just going to do distance. So all he's been doing is being in the gym. That's not true. You don't get distance by doing that, by the way. Gym work gives you the potential. He's been doing swing work. You see how that foot is spinning out. That's actually will protect him from injury, but it's also letting him fully unload. But he's done the work. I think if he has to do extra hours to do wedges as well, I think Bryson will do that. And that's why I think he is somebody to be scared of if I was playing against him. And yeah, he's good. And his mass, I think the other thing is with his mass and his size, two things. One, I think he's enjoying being able to eat what he wants to eat. You know, as a golfer, we don't have to run. So having a bit of excess mass isn't going to be a problem. It's not going to hurt our performance, providing we've still got the cardio capacity. It can be tiring weeks on tour. You know, if I was going to say anything negative about Bryson, you know, the longevity of this is, I don't think it's in the injury bit. I'm thinking what can happen is you work so much on the mass, you then start to tire and you start to fatigue taking that frame around the course. You know, that's something, and I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying that's a concern. You hear of Christian Bale when he played Batman. So he they obviously going off topic, but he did all of this mass work because his previous role was somebody that didn't have the mass. So he's massive, he's huge. We all want to look like Batman. But one of his comments was that it was actually tiring to walk across the room. So you see, so you have that issue, but like I said, Bryson's got good people behind him. So again, that might be one clutching at straws. I think the mass, like I said, he's happy to just eat what he wants. And my guess, and this is only a guess, is I think he's probably taking a lot of creatine to help him with this mass growth. When you take a lot of creatine, so, like he's talking about his protein shakes, he's having a lot of protein shakes. I'd imagine, and this is unverified, but I would imagine there's a lot of creatine in there. And if you've got creatine binds with water, so you tend to get a lot of water retention. So when you look at his mass, he's looking quite, I'm not going to use the word bloated, but a bit of water retention is going to give you that even bigger look. So that could be one of the reasons there. But with the way Bryson, and again, I did some research within driving performance, and I did research on trying to hit it further. And, I think he's onto something. I think he can beat up tough golf courses. Like Donald Ross courses, they tend to be small, they tend to be very difficult around the greens. But I think what's going to happen is he's going to be able to dissect some of these courses because he's not going to need his driver. He looked very dangerous with his 3-wood last week. Let's say he's at British Open, he can bring out a driving iron. He could, Bryson knows what he's doing, and he's got a big work ethic. And all individual athletes have egos, but he hasn't got a big enough ego not to surround himself with people that know more than he does. He's done that with his fitness, and he's done that with his golf swing. And to a certain extent, he's done that with his golf equipment as well. So, Bryson, would I bet on him winning a major? You can never guarantee it. But I definitely say it is worth the bet. And you are not crazy if you do that. You wouldn't be crazy if you think he gets to world #1. We can have the doubters that say that he cannot keep this up. Until proven, I have to assume he can. So thanks for watching. Get some comments down below. What do you think about Bryson? What he's doing? How he's been doing it? Do you think, I'm very open-minded. I think he can keep this up. I think he will get better. I think his wedge play will get better, which will make him even more dangerous. Do you agree or do you disagree? If you disagree, tell me why. But as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you soon.